Hey guys, it's Bill Straub with Modern Thirst. Thanks for joining us. I've got another bourbon review for you today, and this one's kind of a little bit different than we've done in the past. This is a distillery that if you live here in Kentucky or on the east side of the country, you may not be quite as familiar with as some of our kind of heritage distillers here in Kentucky, but it's one that I'm really becoming a big fan of, and that's Distillery 291. That's out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, and they make some really, really good stuff. This is their Colorado whiskey. It's a limited release barrel proof they do. It's a rye whiskey. It's excellent. But today's review is actually their Bad Guy batch, which is a bourbon. It's a 4-grain bourbon and it's wheated. This one comes in at 60.4% alcohol, which is 120.8 proof if you have math issues. It's batch number 3. This was provided to me by a writer in Colorado, Wes Jolly, who is also a big fan of Distillery 291. And I don't believe he's ever reviewed it for the site. I think he knows the folks who run it pretty well and feels it might be a little bit of a conflict of interest. But regardless, he sent me the sample, and I'm really pleased to taste it today. So I've had a little bit of it before. This is what we're going to talk about today. On the nose, it's super sweet, and there is a really distinct, very bright citrus note to everything Distillery 291 does. It's kind of a weird combination of almost young, but in a pleasing sort of way, and ultra sweet citrus right on the nose. And this one has it in spades. And below that, there is there's a note of wood. It's kind of an aromatic wood as opposed to like an old oak or an ultra-aged oak. I don't believe this is age stated at all. And typically, these are going to be around 2 to 3 years old, most of the offerings from 291. But yeah, that citrus note is really there, which I never get really in a bourbon. Occasionally, high-rise stuff from MGP has a citrus note to it, but nothing like this. It's really nice. It's very interesting, and I'm very excited to see how it tastes. It's tasty. These are, wow. There's a lot of that citrus right on the tip of the tongue, but it moves from there into a very sweet vanilla caramel on the middle of the tongue. And then it kind of gets a hit of that kind of aromatic oak and wood and almost a potpourri note on the back of the palate. It's very tasty. Now one thing you should know if you buy 291 is don't expect it to taste like a Kentucky rye or an Indiana rye or a Kentucky bourbon. The stuff that they do doesn't. It's totally unique. They do use some traditional mash bills. I know on the Colorado whiskey they use aspen staves to finish it. And maybe that's where that aromatic wood comes from, and maybe they do that with the Bad Guy batch as well. But regardless, this is a very unique whiskey, and there's a Telltale flavor profile you get from 291 that I have never had anywhere else, and it's really nice. It is that really huge hit of citrus right on the front, followed by some aromatic type of wood. Not really a cedar type of wood, but more of a fruity kind of floral type. It's very interesting. The finish on this is only about medium, and for something that's 120 proof, I would have expected it to be a little longer. But there's certainly no bad notes to that finish, so it's not too young. It doesn't really have too many barrel tannins being too old. Again, it's very unique, so it's really hard to judge this versus other whiskeys because it doesn't even try to be, for example, a Kentucky straight bourbon. It doesn't try to be a typical high rye Indiana rye when they do the ryes. These are very unique. They kind of have to be judged on their own, and for that, I really like them. To really change things up and stay in that realm of American whiskey, which tends to be a lot sweeter than single malts and things you get from overseas. This is a really, really nice change of pace. It's really, really interesting. I need to get a bottle of this. As of now, the sample is the only one I had. I did have a bottle of the Colorado whiskey, which again is a rye, and I love them both. So I do recommend these. Again, it's hard to give this a real score because people are going to compare this to something they would get out of Kentucky or Indiana for the most part. And it's just a different kind of whiskey. For me, it's probably a 90, 91 at least. But again, it's kind of its own scale because I haven't tasted anything with these type of flavor profiles other than 291. So highly recommend them. If you can get out there and check them out, please do. If you get a bottle, please let us know what you think about it. You can comment on this video. You can comment on ModernThirst.com. If you like what we do, please consider supporting us on patreon.com. That's patreon.com/ModernThirst. We do all of this out of our own pocket. We don't really get paid for the website. So anything you can do to help us would be greatly appreciated. And again, check us out. We're over 300 whiskeys reviewed, 5 years old, 7 million page views. Things are going really well right now. We've just added a couple of new writers, and we're going to continue to kind of expand our footprint. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day, and cheers.